Hello everyone, it's Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks very much for joining me. Today I'm doing the assembly tutorial for the Advent calendar. This project has been designed by Nicole Silhouette here on YouTube, and I shall link her YouTube channel in the description box below. The Advent calendar is only available as a digital cutting file, available in Nicole's Etsy store, and I shall link that in the description box below. It is not available as a die cutting set. So I have all my pieces cut out and let's get started. So we're working on the top of the Advent calendar and we need those two pieces followed by this long strip, and you can see that I've gone ahead with all these pieces, folded along the score lines and put the double-sided tape onto the glue tabs. So I'm just showing you there all of the pieces and how many that you need. This longer piece will get bent into this shape, and you can see I've put double-sided tape along those teeth that are on both sides, and I've put double-sided tape on both of the end glue tabs. These two smaller teeth pieces, they need to be curved inwards like so, as I'm indicating, with the double-sided tape on the tabs as I'm indicating. So this is the top piece of the Advent calendar, as I was saying, and this is how they're going to look. Those pieces will look. This is where they go. And I'm just showing you this prior to putting it together, just so that you can get the idea. So it's time now to start sticking this all together. So I'm just going to remove the backings from the adhesive along one side of this teeth part, and I'm just moving them so that I can press them against the side piece of the front of the Advent calendar, or the back, it doesn't matter. So you just take your time and press those teeth against that edge of the top of the Advent calendar and press it into position, making sure that the double-sided tape adheres well. So I'm just pushing that down. Next up, I'm going to grab these two pieces here, or one of the two pieces here, and I'm going to attach that glue tab to the end of that smaller piece and adhering that into place like so. And the smaller piece with the teeth, I'm just removing the backings of the adhesive before putting it into position. So that bends in like so to match that curvature shape. So you just take your time and line that up along that edge, and I'm just tucking that tab in so that I can stick it to the other piece, its neighbour. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Just taking the backings off the tabs before putting them into place. And it's fairly straightforward to see where all these pieces go for the top of the Advent calendar. So I'm just pressing it all down, making sure the glue gets a good hold. And taking the backings off the adhesive of this other small curved piece. Attaching that tab to its neighbour, and then positioning this piece along that curved edge. And that's what the teeth help with. It helps that piece curve the way it's meant to. Then we have these end pieces here, the pieces that have the two tabs on each end. So I'm just going to remove the backings off one end and one side and attach it to the end. Just lining it up, making sure it's got good positioning, and then fastening that tab underneath to the top of that side, like so. Then do the same on the other side. Just attach it, lining it up as nicely as you can and as straight as you can, and then tuck that tab under attaching it to that curved piece. We won't worry about that piece just yet. I'll talk a bit more about that later. It's time to put the other side on. So I'm only going to do a little bit at a time here. Remove the backings and then start to put this other piece on top, which is either the front or the back of your top of the advent calendar. So just taking time, lining it up, making sure it's in a good position before pressing it into place. And then I'm going to take the backings off all of those little teeth on that curved piece, but I do cut it down here so you're not watching me do the whole lot. And then I'll take the other backings off as well. It was definitely easier to make this particular advent calendar with the double-sided tape. So I'm just taking my time closing up the front and the back here, attaching those glue tabs to the edge of that piece, making sure it's lining up nicely before pressing it into place. Now I've left the bottom open for a reason. We're going to put in some strengthening pieces here. And in the digital cutting file, everything is very clear to see what's what. I believe the red pieces are all the pieces that get put together, and then the blue pieces are designer paper layers. But in the cut file for the next piece, it's actually a black shape, and that is because it's an inner strengthening piece. And it's a little bit smaller, like a liner piece, and I've cut that 6 times. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue 3 together and put them in and attach them to each side, just to give the inside of that top piece a bit of strength. So this is one part of the tutorial where I am going to use glue to glue 3 of these shapes together. So I'm going to glue 3 shapes together, one on top of the other, and do the same with the other 3 shapes. Not being overly fussy with the glue here, just getting them stuck together. They're not going to be seen. They could even be cut from a different colour cardstock, because no one's going to see it, so you wouldn't need to use your good paper for it if you didn't want to. It's also optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just wanted to give the top of the advent calendar a little bit more strength. But you could easily make it without it. The first one I made, I didn't put anything in it to strengthen it, but I just thought this one I'm actually going to be giving it as a gift, so I thought I would put the extra strength in. So there we are, I've got the 2 pieces there, 3 layers thick, and I'll put them inside that top piece now. So I'm just applying glue to the back of one of those strengthening pieces that we've just made, and I'm just going to slide it inside on one of the sides, in as far as it will go, press it right up as far as it'll go, because we still need to put that bottom piece on. And you may have to actually lift up what you've just glued down just to slide this glue tab into place. So I'm just turning it over so I can make sure it's lined up nicely. And then I'll press that other shape down on top of it, making sure the glue's getting a good hold. Like so. I'm going to turn it over and put the other piece in. And this is where you probably would be well advised not to put glue all the way down to the bottom edge like I just did, because when I went to close it up, I had to peel back what I just glued down enough to glue that tab into place to close this shape up. But it was an easy fix. It was no big deal. And that's what it looks like. And it just gives that top piece a bit of extra strength. So I'm just going to close the shape up now, removing the double-sided backings off the tape. And on that tab too. And this is where I was realising that I needed to peel up a bit of what I'd just glued down so I could slide this in and underneath. But it wasn't a big deal, it was easy to fix. And again, you don't have to add these strengthening pieces if you don't want to. They're totally optional. I made one previously without it and it's held up fine. It's just if you wanted to add the extra strength, you could. So I'm just closing up that bottom edge, making sure that the double-sided tape's getting a good hold. And then we'll put this piece aside and continue on with the rest of the tutorial. So we'll move on now to the Advent part of the Advent calendar, and we're going to need these pieces here. This one, which is the 24 openings for the Advent, 2 long edge pieces and 2 shorter end pieces. And this is the back of the Advent calendar, but we'll put that aside for later and work on the front of the Advent and the sides. So we're going to attach these 4 side pieces to the Advent openings, and they'll go in place like so. And I'm sorry that part of the screen down the bottom there is you're not able to see. I'm a little bit out of frame there. I'm sorry about that. I do get caught up when I'm doing the tutorials. I forget that I'm filming sometimes. And then I remember that, oh, you can't see that, so I'm turning it around constantly trying to get the best angle for you. So I'm just joining that together, making sure that the edges line up as precisely as I can before pressing it into place. Taking care to be as precise as you can. Just trying to get it in the best position for you to see. And just putting that last end in place. And then we'll join the short sides onto those long sides, taking the adhesive backings off the glue tabs and pressing them into place like so. So we'll end up with a box shape with 24 Advent openings. And just joining it to its neighbour like so. So that's how it should look from the front. And then you'll flip it over and it's time to add the little boxes or put the little boxes together that get attached to these openings. And I've got them here, and you'll need to cut this 24 times. You need 24 of them. So I'll put that aside for now and we'll put one of these together. So you put your double-sided tape on the top side, the good side of your paper, and then we're going to fold along the long side there. You'll fold those tabs away from you, and all the other tabs you fold towards you. Because what we want is the glue tabs on the outside of this little box. We don't want to see glue tabs on the inside of the little box. So I'm going to put the tab into place like so. And then to close the bottom of the box, we just move those glue tabs out of the way. So when you look through like that, that's how it's going to look. Move those glue tabs out of the way, close down the bottom of the box, take the backings off the adhesive, and press the tabs down onto this top side of the bottom of the box, like so. And then you can put it down on your work surface to press it down from the inside with your finger. And then fold those other tabs back out again so that the adhesive is facing up, and you can see that there aren't any tabs on the inside of the box that are visible. They're on the outside, one there and the other 3 there. So I'll put together another one quickly to show you. So on this long side, those tabs get folded away from you. The rest of the tabs get folded towards you. Take the backings off to join the shape together with the tab on the outside edge. Fold these tabs out of the way so you can close the bottom down. Take the backings off and then press those glue tabs down onto the top side of this bottom of the box. And you'll pop it down on your work surface and press it down with your finger to make sure the glue gets a good hold. And then you can fold these tabs out. And you'll go ahead and you'll do that another 22 times so that you have 24 little boxes to go into those openings. So here are my 24 little boxes ready to go, and I'll bring in what we've done so far with the advent calendar. And it's time now to start putting these boxes into position. So I'm going to take the backings off these adhesive on these glue tabs. And the best way to put these little boxes into position is to look from the front. And I'll show you what I mean. It goes down like so, but the best way to put it down is to look from the front, like so, because that way you can line it up properly to make sure you've got it in good position. If you try and put it in from the back, you're pretty much putting them in blind and you could easily get them out of alignment. So it's just easier to turn your piece over, look from the front and put in from the back. And then I'll take my burnishing tool and burnish where the adhesive is to make sure it gets a good stick. So I'll do a couple more for you. Looks nice from the front. And the little tabs that are on the top of this box that I'm taking the backings off now, they fit nicely beside each other without overlapping. So again, look from the front, but adhere to the back, making sure that you're lining that up as nicely as you can. Before pressing the glue tabs down. Again, using my bone folder to burnish to get a good stick with the adhesive. Just get another one done for you. So it's going to get stuck to the back, but we'll look from the front, making sure we've got good alignment before pressing down into place. Get my bone folder and give it a burnish. So you'll go ahead and you'll put the rest of yours all into place in exactly the same way so that you've got all 24 done. So we've got the 24 boxes in like so. This is what they look like from the front. It's looking good, nice and neat. It's time now to put some strengthening pieces into this particular part of the calendar, and there are some pieces in the cutting file that look like so. There are 4 long pieces and 4 shorter pieces, and you can see that I've gone ahead and folded along all the score lines and put double-sided tape along all of the glue tabs. And to put these together, just remove the backing, just fold it in half and fold the other half onto it like so, so you get the square shape. So just fold along the first score line and then fold the other down onto it like so. Now these pieces too, they're not seen at all, so they don't have to be the same colour as your advent calendar. They could be whatever colour you've got in your cardstock stash. You won't see these pieces. They're purely for support and stability to the little boxes that are inside the advent calendar. So they could be whatever colour that you had in your cardstock that was surplus, or even card that you don't use very often. You will not see them. So I'm just working through getting all of these support pieces made. the end you should have 4 smaller ones and 4 longer ones. So 4 small and 4 long. And now we're going to put these into position in the calendar. So we'll bring that in, and the 4 smaller ones, they'll go in the shorter sides, and the 4 longer ones go in the longer sides. You don't have to use glue here if you don't want to, but I did just to glue them down into position. I'm just quickly running some glue down that one edge, sliding it down, pressing it into place, getting the other one. So it's 2 each side. Put it on the other end. And then get the other one, the last 2 of that size, and just stack them on top. One side, one the other side. Like so. It just keeps all your boxes nice and secure. Then the longer piece, you'll see that the longer piece is a bit too long, so just trim it off. And it doesn't have to be exact. I think mine was a bit out, but it's not noticeable. You'll never see it. It's just to give the boxes a little bit of stability inside the advent calendar. Just gluing that down. Just guesstimating here, chopping a bit off, running some glue on it, and putting it into position, like so. Let me see, I was a bit short there, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to alter how it works. Just do the other side. Put the glue on and press it down into place. Get the other piece, snip it, glue it, and put it into position. Okay, so that's our advent calendar, nice and stable. And we're going to put the back on now. So we get our back piece that we put aside, and you'll see that that will fit perfectly. So I'm going to remove the backings of the adhesive off these glue tabs here, just make sure they're nice and aligned. Going to do them all at once. And if you wanted to, you could put some glue on the back of each of these advent boxes if you wanted to, and that would adhere it, the whole thing, to the back of the back piece. But that, again, that's something else that's optional. You don't have to do it. So I'm just taking my time here and lining up the back onto the edge of the glue tab, making sure I'm happy with the alignment, and then pressing it into place, taking care to keep it nice and straight. Then I'll go up to that top corner, bring that into alignment, and then carefully work my way around, making sure that it's got good alignment along the glue tab before pressing it into place. And the back piece does fit on perfectly. It's designed to fit. So just take your time and make sure things are lined up nicely. And that's the base of our advent calendar pretty much done. I'll turn it over so you can see. Bit of a press, make sure it's all stuck down nicely. And on to the next piece. These are the little feet. There are 4 of them that go onto the advent calendar, 2 at the bottom and 2 hold the top piece of the advent calendar onto the top. And I've gone ahead and put double-sided tape on all the glue tabs. And I'm going to show you here how to put the 4 of them together. There is this curved piece that you'll need to pre-curve, and I'm going to take the backings off this piece and it will go into position like so. Just take your time here. Make sure the little teeth get a good grab along that curved edge before pressing into place. Take another backing off. We'll just pull that one out the way so that we can get this one in. I'm going to start to close this up and glue that tab to that inside edge. Fold this tab in and under and press it into place. And go down to the other end. Take the backings off and affix that side piece to it. And it should start making the shape of a, almost looks like a little boot. Then we'll close the other side. Take the backings off the little teeth piece, and that will tuck in out of the way for the time being whilst we fold these down and close this side. Making sure those teeth get a good grab along that curved edge. There are a lot of tabs to tuck in and under with this particular part of the tutorial, but once you put one together you should be right. Just take the backings off that tab and tuck that in and behind and hold that into place. Then we can close the bottom up. Take those tabs off, the backings off, sorry. Backings off there. Fold them in and then close that up. And that's what it should look like. It kind of looks like a little boot, as I said before. And just put that aside. So you'll go ahead and you'll make the other three in the same way. I'm going to leave the filming in of it, but it's essentially the same. So while we're putting together the other three, I've got some pretty Christmas music for you to listen to, so enjoy. And there's all the little 4 feet all finished. In the digital cutting file there are all the designer paper layers for all the pieces, and so I already cut the pieces out for these little feet, and I'm going to put them into position now. So it's very obvious where these pieces go, and I'm just going to put all those designer paper layers into position. So that's our little feet done with the designer paper layers. So we'll put them aside for later, and we'll move on to the next piece, which is the top of the advent calendar, and we'll put those designer layers on that piece as well. So the first layer I'm using some silver mirror board, and the other piece I'm using some designer series paper from a company here in Australia called Uniquely Creative, and they're creating their own paper at the moment, and this particular piece is from their Once Upon a Christmas release. And this particular sheet is called 'Tis the Season, and I like it very much. So I'm just going to stick that in place like so, and it will have that little silver border poking through, or peeking through I should say. Just take all the backings off and put it into position. Taking care to line it up properly. So that's that. Now it's time to put this into position on the top of the calendar. And there is another designer layer piece that goes along that top. And I'm going to put that into position now. It goes there like so. Just taking care to get it in good alignment. And then I'm going to glue the top of the advent calendar into position on the top. And I'm just going to use ordinary glue here. You could use double-sided tape, or you could use hot glue. And in hindsight, I probably should have used hot glue. So I'm just being quite generous there with the glue and putting it into position, and then I'll hold it in place while the glue dries. And this is why I probably should have used hot glue. So I'm just holding that into position until the glue takes hold. Making sure it's all nice. Now I'm going to get the two of the little feet and put them into position on the top of the calendar there. what these little feet do is actually help hold that top piece into place, as it's attached to both that top piece and the advent calendar itself. And I was a bit smarter using the hot glue this time. And do the same thing on the other side. And what this also does too, I mean, it already had it anyway, but this also makes a nice little shelf on top of your advent calendar, which came in handy for me with my decoration of the advent calendar. So just getting that stuck into place. Like so. So now we're at the point with this advent calendar where it's time to fill it. It's time to put your things inside it. And the reason we have to do it now is because the front piece, which is this, is a tear off. All of the compartments are tear off, so that what's inside is more of a surprise. So that's why we need to fill it up before we put the front piece on. So it's time to go shopping. And when I came back from shopping, I decided to decorate that front layer of the advent calendar. So that's the tear off section. I decorated with the designer paper layers, and also I put the numbers on that are included in the digital cutting file, but I enlarged the numbers so they were a lot bigger and I didn't use the layers. So you can see on the back that those tear off pieces don't cut all the way through. They're therefore tear off. And I've put the double-sided tape onto the advent calendar itself so that it can be stuck down in place, like so. So now it's time to fill this up. So I've got all my bits and pieces from shopping, and there's all sorts of things in here: candy canes, marshmallows, some magnets, crafty punches, some washi tape, all sorts of different crafty things, because I know this person's going to like it. And I like the tear off option of this advent calendar because it makes all these things much more of a surprise rather than having something that's easy access. But there is an easy access option, and I'll show you that shortly. So I'm just going through there, just showing you all the little bits and pieces. Little container here with some charms. All sorts of lovely little things. Nice little gift for every day. Oh, sorry, one a day for 24 days of December. Another little container with some more charms. Little lip gloss, round lip gloss containers would fit in these little boxes too. I just couldn't find any on my little shopping expedition. I didn't go far from home, so could only get what I could find at Kmart. So now that I'm happy that they're all inside there nicely, I can stick that front piece on. Just remove all the backings from the adhesive. And again, you could use glue here if you wanted to, but I didn't because I didn't want any glue to seep into where the little goodies were. And you can fast forward this if you don't want to watch me do all this. So once all the backings are off, I'm going to stick that front piece on, covering up our little goodies. Make sure that nothing's poking up. And put that front piece on. Taking care to line it up as precisely as you can. And then press it into place. And so this advent calendar is now sealed, and they can only get to the goodies by tearing open those sections. I poke the finger in like that and pull it forward. Now I'm going to stick the other 2 feet on, And I did actually lose some footage here, so you don't actually see me glue them on, but they're on. And I went ahead and decorated the rest of this advent calendar using some things that I had in my stash. And I'm very happy with the way this turned out. The Merry Christmas and its layer I cut with my Silhouette cameo. And the flowers and the little berries there I had in my stash. Now I'm going to show you the other option that you can have for the advent calendar that doesn't have the tear off openings, which is this one, which I did in the traditional red and green, and you can see I've decorated on the top there with some pine cones and some holly berries that I had in my stash. So you can see these little drawers can come out, and that's another option in the digital cutting file. So instead of cutting that big piece out that has the tear off, you wouldn't cut that, you'd leave that out altogether, and you would cut out the pieces for these little drawers. And this is the numbering in the layers in the way that they are in the digital cutting file, which I didn't use on my one here. You can see mine are bigger. I enlarged them and I didn't use any of the layers, the numbering layers that you can see on this red and green one. So to put one of these little drawers together, the piece in the digital cutting file that you need is the one that looks like this, with that semicircle cut out of it, and you need to cut that 24 times. And these are very easy to put together. You start off with this tab first. And switch over to the other side. Sorry, I slipped out of view here, sorry about that. And just join it together like so. And then you can take the backings off the remaining tabs and close the shape up altogether. Very easy piece to put together. And this is your other option for your advent calendar. Just little slide out drawers. Like so, and it goes in like so. And then you take it out to open it. Very easy. And that's your other option. So you can either have tear off tabs or these drawers. So that's my tutorial finished for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching and that you feel inspired to make one of these advent calendars. They're a lot of fun to make. Don't forget to check the description box down below for the links that I've previously mentioned. And if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really love that too. Thanks very much for watching today. Have a great day, and until next time, it's bye for now.